I invite Dr. Sunil Chaudhary, Associate Professor and Head of KGK PG College, and his topic is Mental Health Concept, Intervention and Good Practices. Stage is all yours, sir.
First of all, I would like to thank Jack's Foundation for giving me this wonderful opportunity. And mental health concept, intervention and good practices. And I have especially focused it on children's. So today my broad topic is mental health concept, intervention and good practices about transforming young mind. In the Hindi movies, in an old song, which I remember, कि बच्चे मन के सच्चे. Today, children are innocent, but apart from their innocence, they are also suffering from some mental health issues. Let me share my PPT. First of all, I would like to apologize about it, that it is not very up to the mark, but yet I will share it. About the common definition of mental health given by WHO, which define mental health as a state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution.
Sir, can you please unmute yourself?
Know about the mental health definition given by a WHO, which define mental health as a state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stressors of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. This definition stresses that mental health is not just being the absence of mental illness. That means the mental health has two connotations. One goes to the positive sides, that relates with the happiness, that relates with the well-being, and the negative connotation that relates with the mental illness aspect. I have chosen another definition. The source is Young Minds 1999, which defined as the capacity to live a full, productive life, as well as the flexibility to deal with its ups and downs. In children and young people, it is especially about the capacity to learn, enjoy friendships, to meet challenges, to develop talents and capacity. Today, we can easily see that children and adolescents are many times not ready to learn, though they are capable. They are not enjoying the real friendships. They are not ready to face the challenges, and their capacities and capabilities are underdeveloped. Thus, we can define that mental health is person's emotional, psychological, and social well-being, which enables him to live harmoniously with his fellow human beings. That means, as a social being, the individual is not alone. If he lives harmoniously with his fellow beings, with his neighbors, with his society, then we can call him mentally healthy. Mental health also helps determine how a person handles stress, relates to others, makes choices, and makes meaningful social contribution. That means mental health includes a person's ability to enjoy life, to attain a balance between life activities and efforts to achieve psychological resilience. In life, the individual, the child, the adolescent, or an adult face many situations, many challenges. It is the capacity of to bounce back, to face, to stand when the crucial time is come. This is the major component of mental health is psychological resilience. So mental health is also a matter of relation of the individual towards the community in which he or she lives, towards the society of which the community is a part. So according to this definition or according to this conclusion, mental health has three dimensions. One dimension is individual dimension, his wellness, his capacities, his capacity building. Second is his contribution to community. And third, a broader dimension, that is society, to which the community is a part. As the topic is about transforming young mind, if we see the broad scenario, our children are our future. So their mental health is precious for all. According to WHO, of total child morbidity, estimated that 23% results from mental rather than physical ill health. At least half of all mental health problems emerge by the age of 18. Yet in the developed countries, only a quarter of young people in need of help get any specialized treatment. And in developing countries, the scenario is, the scene is, the facilities are very, very limited facilities. In developed countries, good psychological treatment exists, but they are not timely available. So this scene is grossly inhumane, inefficient that facilities are available, we can do something, but the efforts are not systematic. What are the factors that affect mental health of a children? Child mental well-being is affected by every aspect of their lives, their physical health, nutrition, wealth, poverty, by the social factor, discrimination, by the war and conflict. It is also affected by the more personal factors. The first and foremost important is stability of the family. The stimulus, the feedback, the value it inculcates, it nurtures in the child. Second is the psychological support of the wider community. If we see in the old movies, or if we talk about 40 or 50 years back, there is a wide community interaction, wide community support to the mental health of all the neighbors, all the individuals. Now we are moving, now we are developing, we are economically well off, but this community participation, this community enhancement, as we can see, is slowly narrowing down. And finally, there is a school which leaves its mark on the character of every child. In my PPT, in this lecture, I focus more on personal factors, because on personal factors we can improve easily and it is easy to work on them. What is the cost of mental health for society? When the mental health of children arises, it costs the rest of society. It leads to education failures, adolescence crime and deviance, teenage pregnancies, and ultimately dependence and attainment and non-attainment, attainment is written, non-attainment of individual capacities. Poor health also disturbs the physical function of the body. It leads to psychosomatic complaints. And improving the mental health is a critical and most vital issue across the globe. What can be done? Early intervention is crucial. If the child or its parents already have mental health problems, they should tackle it first. If the problem did not resolve, then evidence-based support should be provided to the parents, child, or both. They need to be recognized by parents, doctors, and teachers. And the whole society should be open and support them. The school needs to adopt children's well-being as one of their major objectives, both in their ethos and their teachings. Life skills can and should be taught as professionally as mathematics or literature. In schools, we can see that there is more emphasis on literature, more emphasis on academic attainment, and less, or we can say, very minor emphasis on attaining mental health. The principle of early intervention also applies to prevention. Attachment is the key for healthy emotional life. It develops early. It also continues to develop well or broadly through childhood, adolescence. Indeed, the growth spurt in the teenager years is another key part of change and development. So we need institutions that concern themselves with child mental health, adolescent mental health, from conception right through to early childhood. What matters most about them is their subjective well-being, how the child, how the adolescents feel about their lives. Increasingly, people should feel that the success of a society cannot be judged mainly by its level of wealth, but rather how satisfied people are there with their lives. This includes mental life satisfaction. What should be our priorities in this direction? First, we should know the scale of the issue. Around 10% of the world's children today are suffering from diagnosable mental health problems. Roughly half of these problems are anxiety disorders, less commonly depression, half of them conduct disorders. ADHD means attention deficit hyperactivity disorders. Approximately 1% of all children suffer from developmental disorders such as autism. These children are unhappy and disturbed. The quality of their experience is very poor, and the majority of them also become unhappy adults. Their lives are more likely to be unhappy. 90% of people who commit suicides are mentally ill. The best predictor of whether a child will become a satisfied adult is not their academic achievement, but their emotional health in childhood. If the child is emotionally healthy in the childhood, that means he will grow into a satisfied adult. He can bear the responsibilities, he can face the challenges. Second is about treatment and prevention. In the developed country, only a quarter of disturbed children get specialized help. And in developing country, the picture is more or less. In every country, the world, far fewer children are in treatment if they have mental health problems. Nowadays, treatment of physical illness is available, but for mental health, the treatment options and opportunities are rare. In treatment, there has been real revolution for the last 30 years. In the mental health treatment, we now have well-researched treatment for child anxiety, depression, and for conduct problems, with recovery rates of over 50%. Any child can develop mental health problems. We need a universal approach to mental health and well-being. And it can only be possible when the whole society is involved in it. And the third priority should be for the sake of our common humanity, we should use all the tools that are available. Unfortunately, very fewer resources are available from government, and many national governments of countries used very small amount of their GDP for the treatment of mental health issues. So what should we do? What can we do? We can reorient schools involving training teachers differently, but not training, but the change in their attitudes. In this endeavor, to overcome the problem of resources, basically economic resources, we can use the advantage of information technology. Online programs can contribute hugely to staff training, to the mental health treatment of adolescents, to the life skill curriculums in schools. Such school programs should be made available free worldwide. Hundreds or more than hundreds of high quality online programs should be developed and offered free to children and those who care for them throughout the world. Action point and treatment. I would like to apologize that this PPT is not very elaborative. I will elaborate about the action point. This is I am audible. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. I have suggested 9 action points. One is community action. Every community should have child well-being strategy, including an assessment of the needs of children and family. This role can be done by healthcare organizations, school, community groups, NGOs, youth and youth organizations. Second is parity of treatment. Illness is illness, whether it be physical or mental. So evidence-based healthcare for children and their parents should be equally available to all. Third is universality. All health professionals should be trained to identify mental health problems in children because the trained manpower is less. So unless more professional services are available, they should be trained to treat these problems. And fourth action point is training of more professionals. Every country should train more professionals in evidence-based treatment, especially psychological therapy such as cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and now solution-focused therapy. To develop quality, there should be at least one specialized center at every region. And fifth action point is schools for well-being. The well-being of the students should be explicit objective for every school. The school should follow well-being code and they should aim to promote the happiness of every child and equip each child to become a happy adult who contribute to the happiness of others. The school should also aim to develop academic competence and above all, a love of learning. The school should have explicit system for developing values in children. Schools should have well-being code to which all teachers, parents, and students subscribe. They should focus the importance of praise rather than negative criticism. Sixth action point is measurement. School should measure people's well-being regularly through standardized tools and tests and through informal methods. And one of the most important action point is a life skills curriculum. Schools should use evidence-based method to provide explicit training in life skills for at least an hour a week throughout school life and more in the early years. The broad areas may be resilience, compassion, sexual relationships, drugs, eating and alcohol, mental disorders, parenting, media awareness, life goals, mindfulness. They should mainly emphasize on do's rather than don'ts. Positive things memorize easily. Positive things attract easily. So they should emphasize on do's. Another action point which is required is teachers training. All teachers should be trained in the way to notice and promote child well-being and mental health to maintain a civilized learning environment. And
Sir, may I interrupt? Sorry for that. Actually, sir, we are running short of time.
Please give me 5 minutes. 5 minutes more.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now comes to the treatment. And as the topic is what is good practices? The good practices is evidence-based method with good rate of effectiveness, such as cognitive behavioral therapy. For mild to moderate conduct disorders, CBT is good. For milder ADHD problems, CBT-based psychological rehabilitation intervention and occupational therapy is suitable. For anxiety problems, CBT yields 50 to 60% success rates. Depression can be treated by CBT, interpersonal therapy. For non-clinical problems in children, adolescents, and young adults, solution-focused therapy is suitable. Counseling is suitable. Let me conclude my point. We should all remember that children's well-being and mental health is very, very important. And there are high levels of untreated problems in children. For children with mental health problems, we have effective evidence-based psychological treatment, which should be timely provided. Every school should promote well-being of their children using evidence-based approach. The cost is not unmanageable. If we tried, we can manage it. The key principles are early intervention to support families, parity of treatment with the physical health problems. The children's mental health and well-being should be included as a major objective of the schools. If we care about the mental health, the well-being of children must be top policy priorities for community, families, healthcare system, and school. For this, we need to develop emotional buoyancy, coping skills, resilience, and the ability to form constructive social relationships. That's all. Thank you. Any questions? Hello.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Any
you,
questions?
sir.
Any questions?
Any question from the audience?
Dr. Sunil Chaudhary, I would like to ask one question.
Yes, ma'am.
That is, you suggested that we can go for evidence-based treatment. So
Yeah.
are those evidences are basically what are the symptoms that particular person is showing and a particular kind of behavior which has been repeated by that particular person? Is that so?
Yeah.
Are these the evidences?
Evidence-based treatment means, first of all, we need a proper diagnosis. If the problem is of clinical nature, the severity according to the DSM-5 or ICD criteria, if we diagnose the problem, then we can use these therapies. And if the problem is of non-clinical natures, milder natures, then we can use counseling. We can use solution-focused behavioral therapy, solution-focused therapy, CBT. These kinds of treatment can be used. But so first of all, first thing is we should work on prevention. We should work on early prevention. We should try to make our schools, our society, and our children that how can we protect them from the mental health problem. And if we work on the positive things, positive thing means meaningful relationship with their parents, meaningful relationship with their teachers, and good relationship with their classmates, then we can prevent them from becoming mentally ill healthy. So there is a need of the hour. See, we should work on mental health promotion on one hand, and if the child is suffering due to some reasons, the mental health problems, there should be a proper diagnosis if the problem is severe. And if it is of a minor nature, then we can use counseling skills and other such supportive therapies.
And what about the extreme aggression? If an individual is showing extreme aggression, something like that, then these are the clinical symptoms basically.
These aggression may be due to some attachment issues.
Okay.
If the child and mother bonding was not good
Mhm.
in the infancy stage or in the early childhood, that may be one reason. The child may be not intellectually capable, or some IQ issues. And in many cases in ADHD children, the aggressive tendencies, and in conduct disorders, these aggressive tendencies are shown in children. So we try to work on these things. And meditation, yoga, pranayam, playing, these things are non-clinical measures, and these should be promoted in schools. Nowadays, we are seeing that children are spending much time on screen,
Yeah, that's
mobile, and these things, and they are playing very less. And their interactions are virtual interactions; they are not real interactions. And these things, when the child spends most of the time in gaming, on internet, on social media, this can be a major factor of anger in a child. These issues should be checked.
thank you.
Sir, with your due permission, may I add few words to your words?
Yes, ma'am. Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Ma'am, actually, what sir said, I completely agree with sir. Apart from CBT and SFBT and DBT, and there are other various evidence-based therapies, what the new innovative therapies that are coming up these days are dance movement therapy, music therapy, then psychodrama therapy, art therapy. All these kind of new performance-based therapies are coming up nowadays. These are especially beneficial for children because these make them engage in a very in physical activities, as well as they are being engaged in a very psychological way too. So these are the few other kind of therapies which are nowadays being used. So that's it, sir.
These are used to utilize their creative potential, and the
Yes, sir.
creativity and our mental capacities is utilized properly and in the proper directions, then the children or any person can easily become mentally healthy.
Yes, sir. Agree.